For years, Nova Scotia was viewed as a have-not province. Economic opportunity and growth were limited. Residents were leaving in droves to find good-paying jobs elsewhere. An aging and shrinking population sparked dire warnings about a province on the brink of extended decline. But then, something changed. After a couple of decades of flatlining population growth, people started moving here. Lots of them. And then in late 2021, Nova Scotia hit a milestone, 1 million residents. So what's driving our population boom? Well, two things mostly. The first is immigration. Starting in 2015, the provincial and federal governments created new programs and higher targets. That brought a flood of new people. And that's important because deaths still outpace the number of births in this province. And with the proportion of seniors expected to continue rising in the next few years, that's not going to change anytime soon. The other factor driving our growth is interprovincial migration. Canadians have been flocking here from other provinces, especially Ontario, a trend that seriously picked up at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, analysts don't really track people's motivations for moving to Nova Scotia, but they say anecdotally the province's low COVID-19 rates early in the pandemic were likely a factor. The ability to work from home and the comparatively lower cost of housing here also contributed to growth. Kim Fry is one of thousands who moved to Nova Scotia from Ontario in 2021.
I think that Nova Scotia felt like it just had a really great piece of life, like that there was a culture here of balancing work and community and family and recreation, and so that was very attractive, and the affordability as well.
Fry and her family have found lots to love about their new home, but it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, I'd say my rose-colored glasses lost a bit of the tint.
Population growth has put even more pressure on systems that were already stressed, like healthcare and housing. Fry, like 14% of Nova Scotians, doesn't have a family doctor, and the home ownership market was surprisingly inaccessible.
When we first started imagining that we were going to move to Nova Scotia, I think we thought we would be able to afford to buy something, and that quickly evaporated as we saw that we were not the only people who had this idea. And so initially we were like, okay, well, we won't be able to live on the peninsula, but maybe Dartmouth. Okay, not Dartmouth, but maybe Windsor, and then maybe Kentville, and then we just gave up on the idea of home ownership.
Despite all of those hurdles, the Nova Scotia government has set an ambitious target to reach 2 million residents by 2060. It wants to attract 25,000 newcomers each year. Some say that's a tall order, but 10 years ago, 1 million seemed unattainable too. Frances Willick, CBC News, Halifax.